So in our last video, we broke down two powerful management approaches in Checkpoint R82, custom and autonomous. So let's pretend that you've made your choice and you are ready for the granular control and flexibility of the custom path. So where do you begin? So welcome to your first hands-on guide. In this video, we are going to walk through the essential first steps of configuring custom threat prevention. We will enable the necessary software blades on a security gateway, understand the default policy that's created automatically, and finally perform our first threat prevention policy installation. So this is where the theory ends and the practical configuration begins. So let's get into SmartConsole and get started. So first we need to enable the threat prevention blades. The very first thing we need to do is to tell our security gateway which threat prevention features we want to use. So we do this by enabling the software blades directly on the gateway or cluster object. So here, this is our gateway, so we double click on it. In a window open here, and here you can see threat prevention. Click on it and we can see custom threat prevention. So as you can see under the threat prevention tab here, Checkpoint R82 is helpful. The anti-bot and antivirus blades are already enabled by default on new gateways, as we can see. So this one, anti-bot and advanced DNS and antivirus. This gives you a great baseline of protection right away, but to build our full threat prevention suite, we need to enable the others. So first we can enable the IPS. So we will check that box here. And this launches the first time activation wizard. So for now, we will stick with the recommended settings. So we will cover these options in more detail in a future video. So we will click through here. So let's take this, use this as according to the threat prevention policy, optimize profile. So click OK. And now we have IPS activated. So next step, we can enable threat emulation and threat extraction. So let's click on threat emulation here. So, and this is a big one. We will enable threat emulation. So clicking this box brings up another wizard, this wizard. So threat emulation first time activation. The first and most important question is where the analysis, the sandboxing will happen. We have a few options. First, Threat Cloud Emulation Service, which is the first one and is the default one. This is the recommended option for most people. Files are securely sent to Checkpoint's global cloud for analysis. This uses minimal resources on your gateway. The other option we have is locally. So locally on the threat emulation appliance. If you have a dedicated Sandblast appliance, you can perform the analysis on premises. And the last one is other threat emulation appliance, which is for larger deployments. You can point to a farm of Sandblast appliances. But for the sake of this demo, we stick with Threat Cloud Emulation Service. So let's click next here. You should have DNS connection to be able to connect to the threat cloud. And here, the wizard automatically gives us the option to enable threat extraction. So remember, this is the blade that delivers sanitized content to users immediately. It's highly recommended, so we will leave this checked. And we click next here. And as you can see, threat emulation and extraction blades are now active. And emulation will take place on the cloud. install policy on this security. So we need to enable security gateway as mail transfer MTA. So let's click finish here. The last blade here is zero phishing. So when configuring zero phishing in Checkpoint, the options use automatic. So let's enable that. Here we have two options here. So the recommended one is use automatic settings, and Gateway FQDN offer different approaches to setting up the feature. So let's start with use automatic settings, which is recommended. This option allows the system to automatically configure the necessary settings for zero phishing. It simplifies the setup process by using default configurations that are optimized for most environments. This is generally recommended for ease of use and ensure that the zero phishing feature is set up correctly without manual intervention. So the behavior is the system selects the best gateway IP or FQDN based on network configurations, which is ideal for simple setups or when you want Checkpoint to handle the complexity. But we have pros and cons here. So the pros are quick and easy setup, reduced risk for misconfiguration, automatically adapts to changes in topology. And the cons are less control over which gateway is used and may not work well in complex environments with multiple gateways or custom DNS needs. So the next option here, this one, Gateway FQDN. This option requires you to manually specify a fully qualified domain name, FQDN, for the security gateway. This is particularly important if your network setup involves dynamic IP addresses, or if you need to ensure consistent communication with the zero phishing portal. The FQDN must be configured in the DNS records and should resolve to a public IP address to avoid conflicts with internal portals. This method provides more control over the configuration and is useful in complex network environments. The behavior, you define a specific FQDN, for example, gateway.yourcompany.com. That resolves to your gateway and useful. So very useful when HTTPS inspection is enabled and you need consistent routing. And here also we have pros and cons. So the pros, we have full control over gateway identity, essential for environments with strict DNS policies or multiple gateways. Ensures compatibility with HTTPS inspection, which is critical for zero phishing to be effective. The cons requires proper DNS setup. Misconfiguration can lead to inspection failures or broken connections. So for zero phishing to function effectively, especially with HTTPS inspection, the FQDN must be correctly configured to ensure that the security gateway can communicate with the endpoint over HTTPS. This setup is critical for in-browser zero phishing protection, which relies on the FQDN for secure communication. So the question, which should you use? So if you are in a simple or default deployment, go with automatic settings. If you are in a multi-gateway, hybrid or HTTPS heavy environment, use Gateway FQDN to ensure reliability and full feature setup. We will stick with the automatic settings and finish the wizard. And with that, all our core threat prevention blades are enabled. So let's stick with this, click next, and finish. And now we have enabled all our blades. So now let's click OK here. And let's head to our policy, custom policy here. So now that we have enabled the blades, what happens next is SmartConsole automatically creates a default threat prevention rule for us, which is this one. Let's take a look at the protected scope here. The protected scope is set to any here. This is important in a threat prevention policy. Protected scope means any traffic to or from the specified objects will be inspected. So regardless of who initiated the connection, with any, it means all traffic passing through the gateway is candidate for inspection. Next, here we have action. The action colon is set to optimized by default. And optimized is a profile. Here you can see we have 3 different profiles under profiles here. You can see basic, optimized, and strict. So let's head back to see here. So this is the default, which is optimized. Best practice profile from Checkpoint. It is designed to provide excellent security against common and recent attacks without causing a major performance impact on your gateway. And next we have the track colon. The track colon is set to log. As you can see, log, packet capture, and forensics. So this means any threat that is detected or prevented by this rule will generate a log entry. The small icon here also indicates the packet capture, this one, is enabled, which is incredibly useful for forensics analysis. And finally, the install on is set to policy targets here, which is a default object that includes all gateways where threat prevention is enabled. So to summarize, this single rule means inspect all traffic, as we can see any here. Using the optimized security profile, create a log for any threats found, and apply this rule to all of our enabled gateways. It is a powerful and effective starting point. So now, after that we enabled our blades, so we need to publish and install the policy. So let's click on install policy, and it will publish first. Let's publish. The final step is to push, as we can see here, to push this configuration to our security gateway. We do this by installing the policy. In the install policy window, this window, install policy, there are checkboxes for different policies. So here we can see access control and threat prevention. And in this case, we don't need to check access control because we didn't do any change there. Let's uncheck that and make sure only threat prevention is checked, as we can see. Now, here's a pro tip for better performance and faster installations. The threat prevention policy can be installed independently from your main access control or firewall policy. When you are only making changes to threat prevention, you should only install the threat prevention policy. So, in this window, I'm going to select only, as we did, threat prevention. This minimizes the impact on the gateway and is much faster than a full policy push. Let's click on install here. And let's get the details. So once this is complete, our gateway will be actively protecting our network with the full suite of threat prevention blades. No enough free disk. So as you can see here, when you create your VM, you need to give much disk. So at least 10. So I should change my VM settings to fix this problem. But now our installation is succeeded. So, and there you have it. In just a few minutes, we have enabled all the core threat prevention blades, reviewed the powerful default policy, and successfully installed it on our gateway. So your network is now actively protected with a solid security baseline. So this default rule is a great start, but the real power of a custom path is, well, customization. In our next video, we will dive deeper into the structure of the policy itself. We will explore policy layers, the anatomy of rule, and how actions are enforced when you have multiple rules. If you successfully followed along, hit the like button. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. So be sure to subscribe so you are ready for our next lesson. So thank you for watching and see you in the next video.